Fanspeak, where the plan runs deep. The team grind hard, don't eat, don't sleep. From best ball dreams to DFS streaks, they help you print money every single week. Fanspeak. No cap, no gimmicks, we breaking limits. NFL bets, yeah, we live this business. Megan Steve, that OG vision. Draft room killers on a lifelong mission. More stress to the Sunday spread. Fanspeak's that voice that's inside your head. Best ball, DFS, NFL bets. They built it brick by brick, no regrets. Fanspeak. Fanspeak team, printing money since day one. Fanspeak, forever.
Welcome back to another episode of Talking Ball Steve-O Speak. We are going to get back in the best ball streets today. A couple of days now removed from the Super Bowl. Definitely plenty to talk about. We'll get into that in a second. Also, our prompt of kind of looking at second and third round, kind of being the key rounds. I am generally this year, I'll have some guys in the first round where I maybe only have 4%, 5%, but I'm not going to have zero of any first rounder, even if I think the price is, relatively wrong on a couple guys. But second and third round, I think that's where you can get over the field. And if you're right, it can really pay off for you. We saw this last year with, of course, Jonathan Taylor. We saw it last year with JSN, Devontae Adams. I mean, T. Higgins was a key guy to have. Josh Allen was the quarterback because the other quarterbacks in that range were just bad. Trey McBride at tight end. So, there are definitely some big wins in that area. Chase Brown was a great playoff guy. Had the weirdness of the Jake Browning days that kind of ruined his total season. But for the playoffs, you absolutely could use Chase Brown. And so I do think those are the rounds where I don't mind being really low on a couple guys in those rounds and just making my stand. I had 16% Jonathan Taylor last year. That definitely helped me considerably, helped me make up for later mistakes. And unfortunately just didn't get home because as great as an advancement piece as he was, his playoffs got ruined with Daniel Jones injury. But we're going to get into that. Let me hit up chat first. And we got Mike Robb. He got beat by Meg yesterday. Wasn't going to let that happen again. We got Who Hames checking in. Sup, fam? Green Bean checking in. Al Boogie. Good to see everyone. We got Paul, Legion 13. I think he's well over 50 drafts now. Absolutely been crushing it. So we'll get into a couple drafts, but actually the first thing before we really get into the second, third round, because this is something I talked about yesterday, was the quarterbacks and Kyler Murray. And there was reports last night of, I think both Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter were talking, the Cardinals expected to trade Kyler Murray. I think that is interesting. Still a long way to go. Those things can quickly change as we've seen in the past. So, but it does sound like they're willing, early look, they're willing to. And I do wonder how that opens up the Cardinals. Are they just going to go with Jacoby Brissett, or are they going to look to acquire a quarterback? One interesting name would be Malik Willis, given the LaFleur connection with his brother in Green Bay. So Willis might be very content to go and actually target the Cardinals if that's an availability there with Kyler gone. So then I think the question becomes, who would trade for Kyler? As we talked yesterday, Steelers, they go the Aaron Rodgers route, the Vikings. I don't think they'd trade for Kyler, given their cap situation, given, still some semblance of not wanting to shut the door totally on J.J. McCarthy. So I think they're more likely to stick with what they got. Browns, the Deshaun Watson stuff, as we talked about yesterday, if the door's completely shut there or not, I think that's debatable. But they already have a big quarterback under contract, plus the Shador. I think they're more likely to go a veteran route. I did hear they were maybe in the Malik Willis, market as well. So I don't know. Do the Jets trade for Kyler? Need to make a splashy move, but it's such a weird thing because Aaron Glenn seems like the most lame duck coaches right now. with his entire staff essentially being fired after 1 year. So the quarterback debate is going to be one that we are going to have to keep a real eye on. Why I feel better about it, and also potentially Derek Carr coming back. I think there's more depth now at quarterback if Rodgers is back. Definitely with Stafford coming back, that field one opening. If potentially Carr comes back, but we still don't know where these musical chairs end up. So that one I think is interesting for sure. Yeah, Green being Murray to the Jets, that would be wild. But that seems like the one place that makes sense. Like Dolphins, I don't think the Dolphins have the money. They can always move some money around, but I don't necessarily about Penix. I don't think they would shut the door on Penix so quickly unless Stefanski really has the power to do so. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see where Murray would end up. And Huheim's, yeah, there's a lot of buzz. And I think that's the difference is Kyler, as much as people want to dunk on Kyler, and that's not a short joke, I swear, he has been good, typically with Cliff Kingsbury, but he's been good in the NFL. Fantasy wise, real life wise, I know that was a couple years ago, really, and I know that was, pre-injury, but I do think he was just a really bad fit for the Drew Petzing system. Even last year, to be fair, he had 5 starts. He went 2-3. Jacoby Brissett had 12 starts. He went 1-11. So, is that fair or not? I don't know. But, Kyler completed 68% of his passes. His overall metric numbers weren't great, but it's not like Brissett outproduced him on a per attempt basis. It was just Brissett had so many more attempts. And that's why we saw these skyrocketing numbers. And, just for his career, he's 20, going to be 29 this year. He's generally been very accurate, generally has had a positive touchdown rate. Doesn't have a high interception rate. For his career, it's a 2.0 interception rate. That's actually really good. Yards per attempt, 7. That is average. Sack rate is actually, this past year was his worst one. Career-wise, it's much better than like a Lamar, much better than Josh Allen. Historically, has better sack rate, but this year he had a bad sack rate. So, there's stuff to work with there. I just think you need the right offensive system for him, and also your expectations. Like, he's not a top 5 quarterback. Yeah, Derek Carr has been. If the Raiders weren't going Mendoza, I do think Carr Kubiak would make sense because they seem to work well together before he got hurt. So Paul saying we'll get into the second, third round. Second round starts at pick 5. I think making the point that the first 4 guys are just a head above, and I do think the rest of the first round is pretty clumped together. But second round, I do think is interesting, and have it up on screen, and it also actually shows just in the current ADPs, you have Achane and Genti with ADPs of 11.2, 11.7, and the next ADP is 14.3. That just really shows that people are, there's nobody listed as 12, nobody listed at 13. That means like so many people are getting rotated in that, essentially at the turn. So many different guys. I think McBride, Jefferson, Neighbors, and Hampton, and even Barkley probably to some extent, getting rotated in at the turn there. For me, I look at it, there's just a lot of question marks. I think there's question marks with McBride, question marks with Jefferson, that feel slightly better with their hope of going to a veteran quarterback. Definitely some question marks with Neighbors. A few question marks with London. Like, Stefanski has not been the greatest, hasn't produced like these great offenses, to be honest, despite that being his wheelhouse theoretically. With the Browns, they won defensively and rushing offense, not passing offense. Their passing offenses were at best average. But, I think the running backs here, Hampton, Barkley, are very interesting. That's why I generally take them at the turn. I think Love is going a little high. I like Henry above him. The receivers I really like in this range are George Pickens and Nico. Nico, I know, he gets injured every year, misses some time, but there's a consistency here. 3 straight years of 1,000+ yards, and this is with missed time every year. 6 to 8 touchdowns. He actually also had a rushing touchdown, so he had 7 total touchdowns. There's just a level of consistency here, where if we could ever get, 16 fantasy weeks, 17 total weeks, I think we could see, much closer to this 220 type performance. And of course, George Pickens, expected to stay with the Cowboys. Just massive year. Some of that is without CD, but just in general, we know this offense can click. We know how good Dak can be, and Pickens really showed how good he is. Rice, I have some serious concerns with. Loved his touchdown usage and red zone usage when he got back, but will he be there? What happens this year? I think I like Olave above him. I actually think Olave is in a position, injuries still remain a factor, but 156 targets. Half that time was with Spencer Rattler. Another year to develop with Chuck. Another year to develop in Kellen Moore's offense. Even if they bring in a receiver, I think Olave is a pretty strong guy at the 2-3 turn here. I actually really prefer the 2-3 turn area than like mid-second round, because I think you can make a strong case for Jacobs. I think you can make a great case for Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, and Breece Hall. Not if he's back with the Jets, but if he gets a good landing spot, he can absolutely be worth this price. So, in fact, if he gets a great landing spot, we might be taking him at the 1-2 turn. So I don't mind being a little ahead of him, to be honest. I think then the third round gets very interesting with what we do here. Bucky, I see both sides. I know he missed so much time, and I do think he'll be the lead back, but I just worry Sean Tucker completely takes away the touchdown market, and he'll still get some in the passing game as he did last year, but it might be tough for him to get more than 10 total touchdowns, and even that could be a stretch. So total yardage will probably be good. I bet his receptions are somewhere in the 50+ range if he can stay healthy. But if he's only maxing 10 touchdowns, I don't know if there's massive upside. We know Kyron does that. I mean, you just need, 13 last year, 16 the year before that, 15 the year before that, 3 straight years, even with core meeting in the last year, we're just not seeing any drop off. He's still got, pretty decent passing work. I like Kyron a lot in the third round. ETN, if he's with the Jags, I love him. If he moves on, totally dependent on landing spot. But where I really like is receiver T. Higgins. Yes, health was a factor a little bit, but you look at the Higgins and some we can, give him some of the Flacco usage as well. But just historically, when Higgins and Burrow play together, Higgins is a, top 10 receiver, and we're getting him as a wide receiver 14. If you just isolate those times of them playing together, obviously there's been times where Burrow's been injured. There's been some times where T's been injured. But in their time together, he generally has been I can't remember what it was. Going into last year, I think it was wide receiver 9, and his numbers were even kind of better with Burrow here. So I wouldn't be surprised if you average it out and he's in that time wide receiver 7. So we're actually getting some decent value, though the injury risk is baked in. AJ Brown, in his worst year, still got decent production. I do expect an Eagles bounce back. I think it's trending to him staying with the Eagles, but that just is a weird situation. Ladd, I'm good with. I like the Mike McDaniel upside. And, I know it's a down year for him. I mean, lost 50 points from his rookie year. not fun, and targets for similar types of targets. We need to see him get deeper targets. I think the other part of this was the offensive line. Herbert just didn't have time to go deep near as often as probably he'd like. I think Mike McDaniel can fix that quite a bit, both schematically and with a better offensive line. Garrett Wilson, not really a fan of this ADP. Jameson Williams, I think it's fine, but not great. Davante Adams is the one that I think is mispriced. Wide receiver 19, coming off a year where he had 14 touchdowns, still 100 plus targets, 60 catches, almost 800 yards. And that's with missing time. If he stays healthy, easily should be over 1,000 again. He might not even get 14 touchdowns again, but double-digit touchdowns should be basically a given if he's playing a full year, or even close to a full year in this offense. So that kind of goes through more than the third round. But Adams is the one who I like pulling up just because of that. And we see a gap here. We see it goes 36, 38, and then to 40, 41. So this is a mixed area that I think there's a lot of uncertainty. So that's why I like pulling Adams up. I'm not really a fan of pulling up Loveland or Scadaboo. Sorry, Meg, if you're listening. I probably would pull up Devonta Smith over that, if anyone. But I think identifying who you want in those areas and being ahead of the curve is pretty good, particularly right now. A lot can change, but I could see some of these prices, like Walker's price could go up once he resigns. Hall's price could change dramatically with what happens there. So I think some prices could change. So I want to be ahead right now. Paul saying his top four: Bijan, Chase, Puka, Gibbs, and then that's where the drop off is. And it's not necessarily wrong. Jason having a new offense coordinator. I wouldn't say it like they're all second round picks. I think these guys are great, but I get some drop off concerns. Ladd is going to be back 1-2 turn next year. I actually think it could be. I expect big things in the Mike McDaniel offense, just big things for the Chargers offense in general. We saw flashes, and I know it was like you had three receivers kind of rotating. I wouldn't be surprised if Ladd takes over as the true one. A, Keenan Allen probably is not back, so it's Trey Harris stepping in there. And B, QJ he definitely had touchdowns and he definitely flashed at times, but there's not the consistency there. So I'm not sure if that will, I think he could be fine at his current ADP, but I don't know if there's massive upside. Pretty easy for me to fade ETN, Kyron for more Ladd. I'm interested who aims on the fade of Kyron. Like I can get ETN because Jags do have some cap issues. Well, it sounds like they want ETN back. Will they have the money for it is a real thing. Where Kyron, we know his role. We know he's back. We know Stafford's back. So that one's a tougher one for me. And then we got Hulk checking in saying, hey. So yeah, I think for me right now, just to recap, my second round guys, I'm going to be over on more lean on the running backs there. And I didn't mention Chase Brown. I really like him as well, but Hampton, Barkley, Henry, and Chase Brown is like my key second round guys. Pickens and Nico, kind of the only receivers I'm really wanting in that round. And then in the third round, Kenneth Walker, Olave, and T. Higgins, and Kyron and Ladd, and then point up Davante Adams. That's kind of how I'm approaching it. I should probably get more AJ Brown, since it doesn't sound like he's going to get traded, and I do believe that offense improves. But that's that is kind of where I'm at right now. It's easy. We know his roll 60% in round 3. I mean, that's fair, but a lot of backs are 60%ers, like him still having the majority touchdown role, I think, is because there were a lot of times, even on Quorum drives, where they would sub out Quorum for Kyron. Because like Achane is a 60%er. Like there's no question on that. Some other guys here I think are very much in line for that. But all right, well, let's get into the first draft of the day. Over to NFL. Now do a big board, and I'm going to enter in 10 seconds. And in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. And also, I'm sure most watched yesterday, but PPR Tyler, he's been doing these rookie breakdowns at the start of his shows. He did one last night for my guy, Elijah Surratt. I thought it was a really great breakdown. I think it really showed what I've been saying. I mean, the guy's going to be a quarterback's best friend. He's a route technician. We know the back shoulder and some of the contested catch stuff. Just a big touchdown guy. And I think people were talking. And the one caveat I'd say is he mentioned like there's not a huge ceiling. I don't know if that's entirely true, just because we see repeatedly these kind of receivers find a ceiling. He mentioned Keenan Allen. I've mentioned Cooper Kupp. Devontae Adams is another comp, with his touchdown acumen and upside, and also similarly built. Adams is just a shade under 6'2", didn't run a good combine. Second round pick, that's likely where Surratt's going, etc. And the other one is Puka, 6'3", bad combine or bad testing time, but just a route runner, just a guy who gets open, becomes quarterback's best friend. And he was a 5th rounder. Kupp and Keenan Allen were 3rd rounders, but we can find those kind of guys in the right offensive systems quickly develop into a major role, and particularly a touchdown role. Some more than others for that touchdown role, but so somewhat it will depend on where he goes. But I do believe there is a bit of an upside there. I generally think he is a very high floor player as well, but there is an upside case for guys like Surratt. So I got the 4th pick, and we have, we have Legion in here, and that's the only name I recognize. We'll take Chase 4. If anyone else is in here, please let me know. Hope everyone is doing well. So to me, the drop off is after, I would say, Jonathan Taylor, JSN. So like after the first 6, and I think you have CMC, who we know has massive upside, but is coming off just a massive workload. And then it's this ASB, Cook, Lamb, Achane type group. I will have updated rankings later this week. I am going to bump Genty back up. I just had some initial concern, with the state of the offense, but it does sound, love the Kubiak hire. Now that's official. I think that's massive for Genty. And I think, I feel better about his quarterback situation than some other guys for sure. And on top of that, I just think they have the money. I think they're going to spend it on the offensive line and, at least make that a functional unit. And we saw the Bears do that this offseason, really prioritize the O-line. It was massive for Swift and Monangai and massive for, of course, Caleb. And I would expect we see a similar thing with the Raiders. What is my target percentage for JT? I will say I probably want to be higher weight on JT Just because you can pull him up a little bit. Sometimes he slides. So like JT and Cook are the ones that in this first round where I probably want to be higher. But I don't see it being above like 10%, because I don't want to like full fade anyone in the first round. So it's going to make it tough for anyone to get much more than 10%. We'll go Henry here. I do think JT, a lot of usage, but I don't see any reason why that changes. We saw with Daniel Jones, he was much, much better. And, just how if Daniel Jones didn't get injured, I think he would have been RB1. And not only that, like could have been just massive in the playoffs as well. I mean, they had some easy matchups or easier matchups like the 49ers. Just couldn't exploit them because, the offense was just not functional enough. So coming up here, I think pulling up Walker, if he gets to me, is where I go. I'd probably take another running back. I haven't really taken Hall yet, just because I'm worried about a potential return to the Jets. I feel best about Jacobs. I don't think he leaves Green Bay. So feeling good there. Yeah, I think the rank is also like the confidence level. I just think he is real RB1 upside, and I feel good about. He hasn't had major injuries. He hasn't. The Colts offensive line should be good. Daniel Jones coming back. I think Steichen is a great offensive mind. So there's just a lot that I like with that situation. And he still got great usage, even in the games without Daniel Jones. It's just he would max at 1 touchdown. He would only get 80 combined yards instead of 150 combined yards, just because teams could stack the box on him. So he's still getting like usable weeks. It was just you need a little bit more. I'm fading Puka, Chase, JSN, but it's not by choice. Interesting. What leads you to the fade? Is it just you pulling running backs up, or what? Because that is the thing. At the end of the day, these running backs are just going to outscore those receivers. Basically, like if somebody's RB1, they are going to almost certainty be the number 1 point getter. Now, playoff best ball, maybe it just have a great playoff run. But we even saw like, Puka had that great second game, and good first game. But, the week 17, he was just average. We'll go Luther Burden here. Yeah, who he called it stuck at the back, or not getting those picks. No, that is fair. I'm probably lower on JT because right now I'm not getting like that 6-7 pick where he typically goes. I'm getting one of the first 3 or one of the back three. This is one of my few times I've been like 4, 5, or 6 or 7, like that middle. So by my rank, Swift, Tyson, Tate, Watson. Not going to take a Dunze, we're taking Burden. Don't mind a Chicago like team stack. I think this offense is very, very good. Yeah, Swift. I think his ADP is simply wrong. I mean, 58 seems like a steal for what we saw from Swift. And keep in mind, like the first 6 weeks of the season, the Bears offense was not great. I mean, Dunze was playing great, and he was off to a great start. Unfortunately, couldn't finish it. But the Bears offense as a whole was very disjointed. It really started picking up this, the last 2/3 of the year. And Swift especially was a big part of that. I think he had 1 or 2 games in the first 5, 6 that were good, but it's really down the stretch that Swift and all these guys, Loveland did almost nothing the first month and a half. You got Spunky Spectrum checking in. Steve, I started to draft CD, Pickens, Hall from the 105. I mean, hopefully you got Dak with that. When you double stack, hopefully you're getting the quarterback with that. I do think that helps it. I mean, but I can't argue against CD and Pickens. Those are, that passing offense, when Dak is healthy for the last 6 years, it's one of the best passing offenses in the league. We got Lutz checking in. GM, hope you're doing well. Let me check out the board. So you see the rookies start to go here. Judkins goes. And Javonte went ahead of Swift, and I think that's fair. Either side, I'm definitely Judkins over Henderson. I just have a tough time with Henderson's and Harvey's current ADPs. I feel like they should be behind all of Judkins, Swift, and Javonte. So right now I'm going to be lower, and I'm hoping we start to see them fall, but so far we haven't seen it. And we saw in the Super Bowl, Hendo got a couple of looks, but didn't do a ton with it. And Stevenson dominated, the usage. So I just think Hendo it's not even like the Monty Gibbs. I think that's what people want it to be, but it's just not. So it should be 4 or 5. Yeah, that's what I think. Like, just that kind of upside in that good of an offense. And I think Monangai is going to continue to get used. Speaking of, could go Stevenson, but I think I'm going to take Caleb here to get the burden stack. We'll need to catch up at receiver, but I like being ahead on Caleb this year. Got Steven checking in. GM, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Paul saying Switch is my most exposed player right now, 33%. You have to check. It's up there for me. Let me open another screen and do this while waiting for my next pick to come up. But yeah, if he remains, particularly with him falling into the 50s, if he, I have him ranked at 42, I'd be fine at the, little above the field. But he's going to, if I'm consistently getting what I feel to be around value, I'm going to have a lot. Swift, I'm at 28% before this. We're going to go Alec Pierce here, catch up a little at receiver. Eventually, need to start taking Michael Wilson. I was very impressed with Michael Wilson, but I just don't know what's going to happen there. I think Pierce, very good chance to be back in Indy. And if not, I just see, I would imagine I know the Bills don't have a ton of money, but I could see them finding a way. And that would be just a tremendous fit. Alec Pierce in that X receiver role, vertical threat for Josh Allen. Yeah, and that's the thing. The cliff after those backs, and the problem is I'd have less Swift if like I said, he was going in the 40s and Hendo and Harvey were going in the 50s. But it's like anywhere, I would Swift above those guys. And then after those guys, you can make a Jalen Warren thought process, and even Tony Pollard to an extent, who's still sitting there. But the cliffs just start really dropping. And that's why then I start targeting the rookies or Algier or Rico Dowdle, but we just don't know where they land. And like the Chuba thing, is Jonathan Brooks going to take over? I'm more skeptical. And I do think Chuba did play better down the stretch and obviously in the playoff game, but it was not a good year for him. So I don't want to be totally overinvested on Chuba. Yeah, I think Shaheed, doesn't have the size, but he's got the vertical ability that would help in Buffalo, for sure. I think the biggest reason is most people are just penciling in the Raiders right now. But no, I think if Pierce goes back to the Colts, I think Shaheed could quickly become Buffalo's top target. If Evans is back in Tampa, Pierce goes back to the Colts, Pickens is not going anywhere. I think we should all fully acknowledge that at this point. And then I see it kind of being Shaheed is that next guy. This is not a great area for me. I'll pull up Jadarian Price. Might look for a 5 running back build with this, this group. I like Pittman, but having Pierce and kind of projecting him back to the Colts. Same with Moore. Like Moore is the other one. I think Moore gets traded. Not a perfect fit for Buffalo, but absolutely would be an upgrade. We got 2 mules in a cart. Just subscribe. Cheers, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate that so much. Hope you're doing well. I'm not sure if the Bears would do it, but they could technically cut Swift a little, no cap penalty if they wanted. Either way, I think Monangai could be. I think Monangai is fine, like more than fine. Like he actually, I wish he was closer to like Corum in price. I get why he's not. But I think Monangai is the David Montgomery in this offense. And as we saw, 2 years ago, at the time Montgomery got injured, weeks 1 through 14, Montgomery got injured week 15. Montgomery was running back 11 or 12, and Gibbs running back 6, and then of course by the end of the year Gibbs was RB3. But I think Ben Johnson can support 2 really good running backs in the offense. All right, I gotta take Pittman here. I'm just too high on him not to take him there. probably will bump him down slightly in my next rankings, but in like mid 80s. I had him ranked at 79. Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at. Like, I don't love the 84 ADP just because, but to be fair, depending on what the Steelers do, whether it's bringing back Gainwell or moving on Caleb Johnson or some other veteran or whatever, like, you can make a case Monanga is better than Warren. I actually think of a pretty fair case. One, I think the offense is going to be considerably better. And two, like, Monanga is just more touchdown upside. But yeah, I do want a decent share of Monanga. I don't know if I'll be like at the field, but I'd want at least probably 6%. And yeah, the Bears could cut Swift. After the year that they had, if they were, a 4-win team, yeah, maybe they look to cut Swift or probably trade him. But I just don't see that happening. The 4-5 spots are sweet spots to draft. 2 years ago, Barkley in the second round matched up with first round stud. Yep. Yeah, no. And we talked about that a little earlier. I kind of think in the second round, it's running backs again. You have Barkley, you have Hampton. I think those guys really stand out. Derrick Henry, we saw Big Dog down the stretch last year, still got it. If that offense is better with Lamar being healthier, some of the offensive line stuff. All right, let's see here. I do like Juwan Jennings quite a bit. Yeah, we'll go Juwan Jennings. It won't be Love in the second, I'll say that. Yeah, that's where I think Jeremiah Love is a fantastic prospect, fantastic player. I think a feature back can do it all. I hate his ADP. Like, I want him at 29, not 19. I'd just be so much more interested in him and have a lot more. I still want a good share because I think he can outproduce some of those guys around him, particularly the wide receivers around him. But I just wish we were getting not a discount. I just think I wish we were getting more of a fair price. I like Concepcion coming up here. Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson goes. That was truly my target, as I'm sure everyone expected, and no surprise that is my highest drafted running back so far. Might go with Concepcion here. Quarterback, take Mendoza, but I think I'll push quarterback, which is dangerous, of course. There was I haven't seen it get much buzz on Twitter, but there's some talk. I think Dave Blau was saying Ja'Cory, had some positive comments about Ja'Cory crossing merit. Problem is, he kind of also said he's the one guy under contract right now. We'll add some pieces, but really liked what he did as a rookie. I'm paraphrasing, and because he was asked, like, are you going to go running back by committee again? Whatever. And maybe that was more of a Cliff Kingsbury decision. That's kind of my concern with it, is if it's committee again, if they run it back with the same three guys, I'd be okay with JCM at 122-ish. But if they upgrade either the pass catching back or the Chris Rodriguez back, or just bring in another good back and make it a two-back thing, I don't know if I love his current ADP of 122. Because just simply, like, what if they bring in Rico Dowdle? What if they bring in not even a star back like Breece Hall or ETN, but like, what if they bring in J.K. Dobbins? Like, I just don't know how much competition JCM can handle. We got Sus checking in. GM. Interesting. It won't be Hampton. I I actually think Hampton in that Mike McDaniel offense with ideally an offensive line that is not a mash unit could be pretty intriguing. Yeah, that Huhames and I are pretty lockstep there. You need bother queuing Emmett Johnson, who wasn't getting past you twice. Yeah, pretty true. Sure, Falls, you're only big in Casey Concepcion because you like pronouncing his name. I mean, it's a fun name, but no, I do like him. Like he's a guy I attracted in NC State, and then when he went to Texas A&M, I like that he developed more. Like at NC State, explosive guy, but was kind of a gadget guy. Here, he really picked his game up, I thought. So I truly see him as like wide receiver 5 in this class. And I think, we talked about on stream yesterday when Huhames mentioned, some people were higher on him. I'm not as high as those are, but I could make a strong case that he's wide receiver 4. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that way in the draft. I think him and Boston are fairly close. So I want to be ahead of him. And, I just see a playmaker. I mean, not a big guy, but I like his route running ability. I like his upside. I love his speed and just his ability to create. So we started out strong at running back, but I've taken a big break. Still might look to wrap it up at 5 here. Question is, do I take a quarterback here, Kyler or Daniel Jones? I think I am going to take Daniel Jones. So, I mean, he gets through these 2 picks. I potentially could have a double stack if Pierce is back. And I have 2 quarterbacks to get through any lean times with Daniel Jones. But, second half of the year, I think DJ could be very interesting. We saw, pretty good production. And some rushing ability, not like major rushing, but in and around the goal line. And that's honestly the other thing for JT is anytime that Daniel Jones misses, we'll see what the quarterback. I mean, Riley Leonard has some rushing ability, and Anthony Richardson, though I don't really expect it to be Anthony Richardson, but they bring in some vet like Joe Flacco to man the position until Daniel Jones is back. He's not stealing rushing. I know he had one last year, but he's not stealing rushing touchdowns from JT. So let me bring up board, and then I'll get back to chat. JCM plus a guy like Najee would be fun. Yeah, Najee would be the interesting one where I'd maybe be okay at JCM at his price. Just because Najee's coming back from such a serious injury. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's so many options Washington could go with some would absolutely, obviously nuke JCM. Like if they sign Breece Hall, where are we taking JCM? Like probably where I have him ranked, pick 160. Maybe even later. But I also think like, what if they bring in like even a guy like Rashard White, to fill like the passing down role and stuff like that, who also has some real touchdown upside, as we've seen. I just think there's a lot of ways that can, again, not nuke JCM, but just hurt him is my concern. I'm not a guy, we don't want his ADP to rise. Yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't rise, but I'm okay where it's at. I'd love to see it fall slightly. Just because I don't think he has a massive ceiling if Swift is healthy and playing, but I think he can be a good back. It's not going to shock me if at the end of the year, both Swift and Monangai are top 15 running backs. Or they bring in kind of like Brian Robinson. I mean, I don't think they'll do that, but I think Brian Robinson could be better than JCM. I'm in on KC because KC is the best. Does any second round pick? Oh, wait, let me make my pick. Sadiq fell here. I'll take that. Not the highest on Sadiq, but when he falls, yeah, I'm going to start getting interested. So saying, does any second round pick have a higher touchdown upside than Hampton? McDermott has worked wonders with getting both start and meteor running backs incredible. Yeah, this is where I'm at. Like, and it could be a split role. We've seen it, you know, Mostert and Achane, and even the year before when his at the end of the year when they picked up Mostert and what's his name, the other former 49ers back, and they both had like multiple good games. So no, I'm absolutely believing like Hampton could be that smash play. I mean, I think you can also make the case, of course, Derrick Henry. I know everyone talks about an age cliff. I'm sorry. When it happens, it happens. I'm going to be taking Henry up until that point. I'm not going to try and get off the Henry train early. That just seems like bad process, particularly with him going in the back half of the second round right now. So, and Saquon, I mean, we just know his upside. If they fix that offensive line some, they definitely fix the coordinator. That's a big plus. And let's take another tight end, Schultz. Probably at this point looking at, 6 running backs again. But no, Harbaugh does like to split carries, yes. And you can make the same case for McDaniel, but there's still a lead back. And, 2 years ago, Harbaugh's first year in with the Chargers, and again, Greg Roman, J.K. Dobbins was off to a really good season. Then he got banged up, as he unfortunately does every year, missed some time. But he was clearly a lead back. And, I think it would have been Hampton last year. Just he got hurt, and then when he came back, he was not 100%. So perhaps a new Peyton in Indy. Peyton. I'm missing it right now. Let me try and figure out what my next pick I want to do. Kicks checking in. It'll be interesting to see what the Eagles O-line will look like with the new O-line coach. Yeah, new O-line coach. I know they're saying Lane Johnson and maybe what's his name? The other offensive lineman might need to retire. We'll see. I mentioned this yesterday. Like, if that's the case, they're just going to prioritize the offensive line. I don't think they're going to go with like 7th round rookies at offensive line, right? They know that the offensive line is a driving force for their success. So I do imagine they prioritize that. Like, Goddard's a free agent, but beyond that, offensively, like, everyone else is under contract, and if they're keeping AJ Brown, like, they're set. So I just assume that they then make it a one or both were to retire. They make it a massive priority. And I just think the offense in general is going to be better. I mean, it was just poorly called game plans last year. We're going to pull up Omar Cooper Jr. here. Maybe would get back to me at the next pick, but these two guys only having 5 receivers and them having 4 picks between them come up again. I feel like they could be taking someone. I do like the fallen Rashard White. I think he could get a solid landing spot. Wouldn't be surprised if he's gone, though. With the exception of the YouTube highlights, watching Hampton runs like watching a high-speed car crash as it gets lit up so much. Yeah, I mean, not a great. He flashed at times, but like I said, when he came back, he was not the same guy. I'm hoping the full off season, everything, he's 100% healthy and, looks good. Yeah, Landon Dickerson is the other one who could retire. Lane sounds like he'll be back. That was my read of it also. Oh, Cole Payton. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sorry, brain fart. Yeah, I could see them drafting. I mean, I think Riley Leonard fills the same kind of role, but I could see them going mid-round pick in the draft. I think Richardson gets traded. I'd be interested to see where he goes. I took Singleton there. Like they's falling more into the 190s, 200s. That feels good. Yeah, back to the Eagles. I think the other issue is, for whatever reason, last year, historically, for the longest time, and some of this was because they had, like older guys like Lane Johnson and like Jason Kelsey, they kept drafting backup interior linemen. Like, they were guys where they wouldn't need to start right away, and like in early round picks. And that really worked out for them. That's why they were still able to maintain such a good O-line, even when Kelsey left. Now, last year, they didn't really draft anyone. So I do think he could, make that just total priority, like first round pick, second round. I mean, again, depending on how many people retire, I just expect this to be their offense priority. Their defense needs a little help, but they've drafted so much on defense. They're pretty deep there. So I'm not so worried. My early read is the Eagles know that the offense line was a mess last year. They didn't have the depth, and they prioritize it. Started pretty in on Eagles. I'm kind of out now. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the take that Sean Mannion, almost by default, has to be better. It was just so bad last year. I made the point, the Commanders finished like 22nd in points and yards last year. Essentially what the Eagles did, they were like 24th and 119th in the other. You average it together about 22nd. And Eagles were essentially entirely healthy. The year before, when they were entirely banged up, everyone but Barkley was injured, skill position-wise, they finished 7th. So what was the difference? Kellen Moore. Yes, offense line, but I really think it was Kellen Moore. Right, let's take Jeremy Bernard, get another fun rookie here. And then you just look like in that San Francisco 49er playoff game, like their fourth down call was a play they ran 2 plays prior. Like it was just awful play calling. So I just think Mannion, longtime backup quarterback, but he's also coming, from, working with, some offensive minds that we like. Maybe he is the next Kevin O'Connell. Okay, up in 2 picks. Really need running back or tight end here. Love my guy Emmanuel Wilson. Could take a rookie tight end since I do have one already, but I feel a little better. But probably should go veteran. So it got really thin. Cheese did get thin at tight end. I'll take Mike Gesicki. I need to move him up in my rankings. Sussane sure sounds like Rashard White wants to reunite with JD5. Jaden Daniels would be good stylistic complement. JCM. Yeah, and I think Washington is absolutely adding backs. And yes, I've heard those rumors that Jaden Daniels wants White, and I could see it. And I think it fits quite a bit. And even that, I think, would potentially be a hit, because White, what people forget is JCM had almost zero passing game work last year. They truly preferred Jeremy McNichols. It was one thing when you knew Austin Eckler was going to have that role. White isn't Austin Eckler, but he's much closer to Austin Eckler than Jeremy McNichols. So I do wonder, what does that role? Like, is he a 40% player? Is he a 45% player? you know, I would worry about, JCM even if White comes. I just think his upside becomes a little more limited because he was so reliant on explosive runs, but those aren't necessarily going to be there. And that one game at the end where he had a couple touchdowns, I think it was a Giants game, Chris Rodriguez was sick, so like that doesn't happen if Chris Rodriguez wasn't sick that day. So can we predict that the flu catches whatever other running back? I just feel his numbers are a little overly inflated, and there's just way too many outs for him to be superseded on the roster. Vikings O-line coach going to the Eagles doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. Yeah. I mean, Vikings just, boy, their offensive line these last couple years can stay healthy themselves. We'll go running back. Should I go rookie or I think I go Ray Davis here. Doesn't have a huge standalone role, but definitely one of the best handcuff options out there. I don't imagine the Bills add anything to the running back room. So if Cook were to miss any time, I think Ray Davis is very, very useful. And at tight end, the true number one rookie tight end is there. Paul, I can't remember who you were in on. I meant then from a veteran standpoint. And with me already having Sadiq, I didn't know if I wanted two rookies. Wild to me that these stagnant offenses continue to ignore the evidence that motion and play action can help offenses. Yeah. And, I think one thing we did hear from Dan Quinn, and I think everyone can do it differently, obviously, but they're making a priority that, and this was apparently with their offense coaching search, is they want Jaden under center more and more play action. So hopefully, he can handle that. And as I think it was Kicks brought up yesterday, Caleb made a pretty good quick transition. And Drake May also made a pretty quick transition because, none of these guys have a lot of that from their college days. So, if hopefully that can work for Jaden. I do worry about him from a timing perspective because he clearly likes to see the field and then when decide to take off. I almost wonder if it's a way to limit his rushing ability because, it just takes an extra second or two outside of designed bootlegs and rollouts and stuff like that. So I wonder if that could actually limit some of his scrambling upside, but probably could help him function overall with the offense and, just keep the linebackers more honest and things of that nature. Trig. I mean, he is one of the highest ceilings for sure. I think a lot of it is because quarterbacks aren't actually good enough to handle it too. But that's fair. There's a lot of questionable quarterback play in the league. I can't argue that. And that's why we see, Kirk Cousins is going to have a role. If Derek Carr comes back, he's going to have a job opportunity. Steelers are basically praying and begging for Aaron Rodgers to come back for another year. And Joe Flacco, sadly, there are a number of teams where Joe Flacco could start. And plenty others where he's the clear backup, number one backup. So, yeah. Quarterback playing the NFL has not been great the last couple of years. Rashard White, perfect back for Washington. Yeah, no, I tend to from a financial point and just role that they need. I agree with that. It could be the case, but the Eagles had all the same pieces and they used less motion play action and the offense regressed. And this is Eagles offense was just horrendously predictable. It was. I find a tough time with so much offensive talent being just so below average. It just doesn't make sense. Like if they had major injuries on the offense, and I know they did some on the offensive line, but I think people just want to totally point that as a factor. And I think so much of it was the coordinator. Like, could you imagine that offense with average offensive play? Like, put it, that offense for Washington last year when Jaden misses most of the year, Terry's out a good chunk of the year, Ertz misses 5 games, Debo misses a game. Of course, the running back, Eckler's out. Washington would have finished 32nd in offense. Maybe not that bad. The Jets were pretty bad. And Browns. There were a lot of bad offenses, but they would have finished 28th. So yeah, I'm 100% agreement with Hulk here that some of it is the offense coordinators. Like there are just some bad offense systems. I do worry what we'll see with the Giants with Matt Nagy. I hope he's learned. I don't have the most confidence in guys like Frank Wright with the Jets. Like even if the Jets get a good quarterback, how great do we feel about the situation? And not just for that quarterback, but for like Garrett Wilson. Hold up, 2025 Pro Bowler Joe Flacco. To be fair, he was much more deserving of the Pro Bowl than Shedeur Sanders. No, I mean, I think Flacco sounds like he's going to play. He's absolutely going to have a market. I think it would be as a primary backup again. Wouldn't be surprised if Steichen calls him up and says, "Hey, we might need a couple weeks. Do you want to join again?" Also could see the Chiefs. Mahomes and Minshew both getting injured. Just in case Mahomes is not 100% not ready to start the year, he could do a lot worse than Joe Flacco. I agree it's a mixed bag, but personally put Hurts in the category of bad quarterback and able to handle complexity. Hater. I mean, I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but I do think what we see is when he has a good offensive mind, Steichen, Kellen Moore, great things can happen. So that's why we wouldn't put him in bad quarterback. But I think he's more like he's a tools quarterback, a big arm, mobility. I don't think he's the most naturally accurate or anticipatory thrower, things like that. But I think he's like what I'd put in the above average category, but he's got the tools when you have a good offensive mind and he's got great weapons around him, which he was done a great job with that. Plus, if the offensive line is good, yeah, it all can come together and he can put up great numbers. So I don't go so far as that he's a bad quarterback. It's just there's so many bad quarterbacks out there. But I do think offensive systems matter. Like, we talked about this with Geno yesterday. Geno with the Seahawks, not just the one massive year that he had, but even these last couple of years, much better. He goes to the Raiders, that whole mess, and it's like he forgot to play quarterback. I mean, he looked almost as bad as he did his rookie and second year with the Jets when it was horrendously bad. I mean, Joe Flacco being a perfect example. First, month with the Browns, not looking great. Nothing really going on. Goes to the Bengals. Yes, he's got better weapons, but I think it was also the offensive system. And just night and day difference there. So, and I think we just see a pattern that coordinators can make a big difference. And I think also like time to quarterbacks. Like we've seen Sam Darnold with bad offenses, not great. You've seen Kevin O'Connell, Clint Kubiak, really good things happen. All right, let me go over these drafts and then we'll get into another one. So I was first up, 3683, Caleb, Cam Ward. Didn't get my guy, Io Manor, just didn't work out where I was looking. Probably could have, I was hoping Helm would be there late, but that didn't work out either. But I'm fine with it. Henry, Jacobs, Swift, Jadarian Price, Nicholas Singleton, and then Ray Davis tacked on for just a little bit of insurance. Chase, Burden, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Juan Jennings, Casey Concepcion, and then so 3 rookies, but the last 2 late in Cooper Jr. and Bernard. Kind of view this as probably late first, and 2 second/early third round picks. Wouldn't be surprised if one falls into the third, but very possible both are second rounders. Sadiq, big fall there. Took that, wanted a bit more certainty, so that's why I pulled up Schultz. And I do like Schultz's price. Just given very few tight ends even have the upside of 100 plus targets. We know Schultz does. And then Gesicki, hopefully he can stay healthy. Burrow stays healthy. No Noah Fant. We could see better things from him going forward. We have Legion next, 2792. He went Hurts and Dak Prescott. Achane, Dave Montgomery. So kind of anchor build, but then hitting this window of guys who can take on a pretty good role. Monty either in Detroit or traded somewhere else. J.K. Dobbins, whether back with Denver or somewhere else. And Jordan Mason. The Vikings are one. Yes, there's ways maybe they take like a second round running back. I don't think they're taking Love in the first round. And he actually gets both Vikings running backs. There's a chance they could cut Aaron Jones, but if so, he should still land on his feet. He's still very functional. But I like that. This is it's interesting, just contrasting it to say Washington, where JCM is going at 123. You're getting Jordan Mason 30 picks later, Aaron Jones, 50 plus picks later. I mean, either one of these could absolutely have the same level of production as JCM, and kind of have the same risks of do they bring in somebody else, etc. Katron Allen, 160. Like that pick, he's fallen some. I think I'm going to scoop that value. Then Malik Davis. I know a lot of people wanted to be Jaden Blue. Malik Davis, I believe, is a restricted free agent. They bring back Javonte Williams. Malik Davis could fit right back in as the number 2 back. He was playing that well down the stretch. Receivers, A.J. Brown with Hurts and who's the other court? Dak. That makes the Malik Davis pick make sense even more. Terry McLaurin, Rome Odunze, Stephon Diggs, Khalil Shakir. Then waiting for Trey Harris, Ryan Flournoy with Dak. Jalen Noel, Luke Washington. Like this, like having your core receivers and then taking like 4 late picks. If just 1 hits, you're fine. 2 hits, great. 3 or 4 hits, you're just absolutely golden. And then Bowers, Jake Ferguson. That's a great tight end room. And Ferg obviously with Dak. Wait, was there somebody else in the draft? No, I guess not. All right, let's jump back in. Always Iron Manor. Yeah, when I took Ward, I consider it as just I wanted to pull up Lamar Cooper Jr. and that's probably where I could have gotten Iron Manor. All right, well, let's jump into another one. Maybe I might even do a third draft. If so, I'd probably do a little board, just because I only done 4 of those, and it's 27% full. But let me do another big board here, and then let me know if anyone is interested in the little board afterwards. Before I do want to thank everyone for jumping in chat, liking this episode, supporting us. Don't forget there is a link to our free Discord in the description. A lot of great best ball talk there. Also, I think we have our Substack subscription. It's a one-time year payment. You can join. You can even try for a free week. Check it out. So give that a look. We do plenty of great articles. We have a lot, coming down the pipeline. We're excited to do, and really looking forward to this season. And of course, you can also support us with YouTube memberships. So appreciate that as well. And just want to thank everyone for joining, liking, and commenting. And of course, after the episode, leave a comment. That helps the algorithm as well. But we are nowhere near the end of the episode because we're doing at least one more draft, if not two. And we got TD, Mr. Mufasa checking in. What's up, fam? Hope you're doing well also. Okay, let's jump into this other big board. We're going to enter in 10 seconds. Enter in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. And we are insta-filled. So hopefully something you got in. So let's see. We got Jalapeno Jenkins in here. Not sure if he's in chat. We got Off the Schneid checking in at 11. We got Green Bean at 3. That's all I recognize. I know Schneid doesn't always like being in stream drafts, so guessing he wasn't planning on that. But if you're here, Schneid, always great to see you. And we need to stream together sometime soon. So let's see. 7th pick, I just mentioned I haven't been getting a lot of these. Like that 6, 7, 8 range. I like the range. I don't think Puka will be there, but whoever falls, if it's JT, I don't mind bringing Cook up, but probably will take Amon-Ra ahead of him or even McCaffrey, just because you can get Cook later. Yeah, that's what I just said. I hope you're doing well, Schneid. I know you don't always like jumping in stream drafts, but yeah, I saw you in there. Good luck to you. Hopefully we're both advancing. I've got a few other people in here like Jalapeno Jenkins and Green Bean as well. Hopefully the 3 of us are advancing this. All right. Well, at least we're not back to back, Schneid, so we're not going to be truly sniping each other. So Green Bean takes JT. 3, I think it's very defensible. JT has a very strong path to outscore any receiver. So, McCaffrey or Amon-Ra? I'll go McCaffrey. Don't have a ton yet. And just want to check. Yeah, I only had 3% McCaffrey. So getting more McCaffrey seems good. So coming up, second round, pick 18. If Hampton or Barkley there, it's probably an auto click for me. If not, probably Henry or Pickens are my next 2 guys. Got Peppertoni. Sup, pups? Hope you're doing well. 30 drafts in. I haven't had many chances to get JT. Have a couple of Puka Chase teams already. No, I mean, again, I get it. And I do think it's defensible. Like, do you have to take him there? No. But if you want to be overweight on JT, take him there. Or ensure that you are where you want to be at him. Because if Daniel Jones is mostly healthy and or they bring in another quarterback that we feel okay with, just so many paths for him to be running back 1 or 2. If he's that, he's probably outscoring every single receiver. So let me go Saquon. His down year of 213. I don't think he's getting 338 again, but I think he could be top 5 back easy. So, one interesting thing we've talked about it a little bit is last year the tush push came very close to being eliminated. Will it get eliminated this year? If so, I think that absolutely helps Saquon for sure, because he has lost a ton of touchdowns these last 2 years to the tush push. I mean, 2 years ago, what his points would have been if there had been no tush push, I think it would have broken records for fantasy. And I'm just, again, personally expecting Sean Mannion to utilize him way better this year. So my rank, Allen would definitely be a nice value. Could take a running back here. Devontae, I'm much higher than the field. Lad. Do we go Allen? Do we go 3 straight running backs? I think I'm going to do it. Probably make this a 5 running back team. Yeah, we're just talking about that. I mean, the changing O-line coach is definitely one thing. I don't think necessarily both retire. If they do, and what I said is that I think no matter what, they're making the offensive line a priority. But if they both retire, it becomes the utmost priority this offseason. I think no matter what, they're adding depth. And if they one or both retire, they're clearly going to find a way to get starting talent in there. I think Lane Johnson would be the tougher thing. Tackle market is always tougher. But I guess I just look at it like, I think the O-line concerns last year were part of it, but coaching was a much bigger factor. Now, the O-line coach shift, is that going to be the biggest thing? We'll see. And who Williams mentioned, guys coming from Minnesota. Vikings offensive line the last 3 years has been insanely injured. People forget 2 years ago, one of the Sam Darnold issues was he went into that playoff game. I think they were missing 4 starting offensive linemen. At least both tackles were out. I know that for a fact. I'll make an Eagles bet here. So, if Saquon and Devonta Smith, I'm of the belief Eagles are going to be back to a top 10 offense. And that's how I'm drafting this. If not, I'm in trouble. Let me check out the board. There goes Scatterboo. Right behind. I do wonder, the NFC East is going to be interesting because the Eagles kind of, I don't want to say lucky, but, their defense was very good. But for how questionable their offense was, they didn't have much of a threat. Dallas just couldn't get it together. Washington, so banged up. Giants were never expected to be competitive, and then their injuries were insane as well. So, you have Harbaugh taking over the Giants. Presumably they're going to be much healthier. Washington changed both coordinators. They have a lot of money to play with. Top pick as well. What do we see from them? And of course, Dallas. Like, it wasn't their offense. This is going to be a very heavy RB team. Definitely won't stop at 4, but I'll stop at 5. But I might tack on the 5th much later now. I have 4 starting backs in my opinion. And, just also, these are 4 playoff teams, top offenses. So I feel good about that as well. And that was the kind of deciding factor between Judkins, who his upside might be a little bit more limited. Though I don't mind him in this 50-ish range. So I'm probably going late tight end, probably 9 receivers, mid to late tight end, 9 receivers. May take Hurtsy here, just fully make the bet on the offense. But it depends on what's left at wide receiver for me. Yeah, I like Mike Evans. I think DK is fine, but we will go Hurts just with 2 Eagles pieces. Betting this is, again, top 10, maybe in the top 5 scoring offense. You could just get all the touchdown upside. And we'll go back to the board. So sometimes we see, and I know I'm part of it, sometimes we see the quarterbacks slide a little bit more. They're fired off the board in this range, 5th, 6th range. Lamar even going in the 4th. But, this 5th to 10th round, you kind of have to get your quarterbacks. I like at least having one that I feel very good about. So luckily coming back, Evans is still there. Ricky P, Alec Pierce. I think those would be my 3 clear targets. I'll get one of them. Evans is gone. We'll take Ricky P. So right now, I'd say the Eagles are one of the offenses I think will make the biggest improvement this year. Curious what chat thinks. Who are some offenses that were not good? Whether it was a good team like the Eagles, or a bad team. What offenses do you think make the biggest improvement heading into next year? Eagles are definitely up there for me. I think the Raiders, with a new coach, we know they have some key pieces already in Bowers and Gentry, and getting Mendoza, and hopefully offensive line help. They're on the list. Titans, it can't be worse, in my opinion. So I expect good things there. you can make cases here or there. Well, obviously Washington, the hope with Jaden being back, but they're also, currently Debo's free agent, Ertz and Eckler probably retiring. So a lot of holes and question marks in Washington in my book. Picks Ravens is a good shout. Lamar being healthier. I think that's the key, honestly. I don't think much more, even with likely leaving. I don't even think they need to invest in anything major. They do have some offensive line free agents. That Lindenbaum, I believe, is free agent, so they're going to try and keep him, I imagine. If he walks, they do need to replace him. I'm going to pull up Purdy just so I have a second quarterback. I have a San Francisco and Eagles like mega stacks here. Not mega, but just full team stacks. Hopefully these are two of the top offenses. If so, I think this lineup wins a lot of money. If not, I'm in a lot of pain. Declan Doyle from the Bears. First chance calling plays, but Ben Johnson disciple sounds like a good idea. I think if Lamar is healthy, that Ravens team should be fun. I mean, I expect Andrews to have a bit of a bounce back. I think Flowers is a fine receiver. Does Bateman rebound? Does Montez Walker emerge? Do they add somebody, across? We'll see. But, Henry, Andrews, Flowers, that's a good skill group to go along with Lamar. So I'm looking wide receiver here. Denzel Boston's ADP at 104. I will gladly take that. And Moore and Shakir would have been my fallbacks. So I need to catch up a receiver, but I'm planning on going 9. I could. If a tight end falls, I'll consider it. Running back, I'm not considering for another few rounds. Always tempting to target Evan Johnson. Yeah, that's how I feel. Like they either work out a deal or they're going to franchise him. We rarely see centers get franchised because offensive line, the franchise tag works for the offensive line in total. So tackles drive it up, obviously. And so rarely do we see guards or centers get franchised for that reason. But he's one of the best in the league. And Ravens just might feel like they cannot let him walk. So that's kind of how I see it. I think they're going to just make a big push to get it done so they don't even have to get messy with the franchise tag. It's a weird thing. And it's the same for like linebackers. Like pass rushing linebackers get viewed the same as interior linebackers, and their markets are just wholly different. And defensive line, same thing. Pass rushers and D tackles. I'll go Shakir here. I took Juwan Jennings last time. Debo's another one, but he could come back to me. I do want a third quarterback at some point, but I feel like I can wait. I just had to catch up a receiver. If Goddard comes back, not sure if I need to stack it up that much. And even if the tush push goes away, I think Hurts will still get a decent amount of rushing touchdowns. he's not going to get 0. And he had a couple rushing touchdowns this year that were non-tush pushes. So I think you're still looking at like, and same with Josh Allen. Like, yes, the tush push is used, but hey, on the 1 yard line, a quarterback sneak still works pretty well, particularly with a big, strong quarterback, even if somebody's not pushing from behind. Like Jaden Reed. I think I'd go Debo though. Yeah. My guy Emmett Johnson's still there. That's tough. Tough look. And I will say, if somehow the Ravens let Tyler Linderbaum go, I know the Browns don't have a ton of money, but expect Todd Monken to absolutely want to throw the bag at getting a elite center for whoever his quarterback is. Fullback dive, bring it back. Hey, then we'll get some Kyle Juszczyk. I think we will just see running backs get a few more touchdowns. But the two teams who utilize the tush push the best are Eagles and Bills. Yeah, I know it's no doubt hurt Barkley and James Cook, their touchdown upside, but it's not like these backs are getting nothing. So I do think it helps them. But so many other teams honestly struggle at the tush push, nowhere near as effective, or just utilize it much more rarely. But I do think teams will have to get more creative. Where are we sitting at quarterback? Bryce Young feels high. Yeah, don't need to go there. I'm going to take Shaheed. So I feel like we've caught up quite a bit at receiver now. Is it the top-notch room? Of course not, but a lot of guys who have 1,000+ yard upside, 5 to 8 touchdown upside. I mean, a guy like Boston could really spike that. And also keep in mind with this running back room, I'm assuming 80% of the time, the flex, particularly if these guys all end up with different buys, 80% of the time, the flex is coming from these 4 players. Oh, damn. Sorry, Schneid. At least 12 spot didn't take EJ or lost my shit. Named you, Steve. Sorry about that. So he gets Emma Johnson, which is 134 to me. It's just an absolute steal. We'll say, I mean, I can see Goddard over Strange, but the Kittle price, I'm not a fan of right now. We will get our first tight end here in Hunter Henry. Quarterback market mostly is dried up. Still want to tack on somebody, but don't need to now make it a priority. So I see. I'm guessing Schneid's wanting Strange there had more to do with already having Pitts and Kincaid than not liking Strange. Just my guess. So there goes Daniel Jones. That would have been the only quarterback I'd take here. So we're probably looking at another receiver. Maybe I take my fifth running back. Depends on who gets back to me. We've seen it. Allen would have been in the mix. Let's see where we're at. I like Taj Spears. I think Tucker and Vidal are fine, particularly Tucker here. Do not like Zach Charbonnet, but I will take Travis Kelce. Still want to be ahead of the field. Assuming he comes back, his ADP is just going to massively rise. I've said it before, at least in the 120s, could be even higher, more like 110. And if he doesn't come back, I have Hunter Henry. I'll get another tight end. But if I'm getting him at that price, just could have so much massive upside for my tight end spot. Well, there's plenty of receivers and running backs I could have taken there. I think I'll be okay. Yeah, Kelce is rising fast now. I think more and more people are just now reading the tea leaves that he's probably back. Just some of the comments he's made. I think there probably would be more. I think it's far from guaranteed. But I think if it was a definite him retiring, I think more would have been coming out already. Not that I watch it, but keep in mind, this is a guy who does a podcast with his brother. His, his brother's part of ESPN. It's just probably more of the leaks would come out, would be my guess, if it was definite. I'm not saying he's 100% made a decision, but I don't think it's definite he's retiring. And I just get the feeling with how it ended last year, he's just not a fan. I'm going to take my guy, Surratt. Talked about before, I thought PPR Tyler did a great breakdown on Surratt last night. Highly recommend anyone to watch that. Watch his whole stream, obviously, but definitely watch his breakdown. A lot of great clips showed the upside, that Surratt has, and I mentioned it early in the show. I think sometimes we get so hyped on these receivers that don't have track backgrounds, don't run well, but he still gets open. He creates touchdowns. And honestly, those guys, we can point to a lot who are very successful, including, Super Bowl winner, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, one of the best receivers in the league. And of course, some other veterans I mentioned, like Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen, also had similar size and speed concerns coming out. And Keenan Allen ran a 4.7. Did it ever matter? No. Hall of Fame receiver. Yeah, I kind of wish I took more when he was in the, 190, 180 range. That's why I still will take him in the 160s here, just so I feel like I got enough value on it. Let's just finish off tight end. We'll take Likely here. So Henry, Kelce, Likely can be a pretty strong room. We'll see where Likely goes. Hopefully Kelce doesn't retire. And if he does, I don't think it's the worst tight end room in the world. You got Jalapeno Jenkins checking in. What's up, last man? I'm jealous of your RB room. Yeah, I decided to go heavy there. We'll tack on a fifth late. So, I like having some of these builds. Mike sprinkle in some Noah Gray to hedge against. Yeah, I kind of agree with Huheems. That's what I did last year. Did not work out for me. with so many, the reason why I was high in Noah Gray last year was the free agent market was dead at tight end. This year is not the case. Like the Chiefs could bring in a Likely, could bring in Chiga Conquil, Kate Otten, etc. So I think there's a path where they go Noah Gray and then draft somebody, or Noah Gray and a lesser free agent. But right now, I don't think it's worth it, because if Kelsey retires, Noah Gray will go up. I just end up won't taking much of them. We're going to take let me check out running back. Yeah, we'll go Jeremy Bernard. I like him a lot. I know Schneid was going to take him. I will guarantee Schneid was eyeing him up. I know he's a big fan. So I didn't think he was getting back to me. Njoku is another one. I don't know about Goddard, just because he's probably going to be the most expensive of the tight ends. And I don't know if the Chiefs will afford that. But other than that, yeah. Any hope for Wiley? I think that's the other thing, is they took Wiley in the third round a couple years ago. I think worst case scenario, it's a combo of Gray, Wiley, and maybe a rookie, or like a Charlie Kohler. But yeah, he shouldn't. Like, he will jump up. Obviously right now you're taking him 20th round. So there is a gap there, but he definitely shouldn't go any higher than that. So Caleb Johnson goes. That's who I was hoping would get back to me. Schneid taking a couple quarterbacks there. That's a market I don't want to totally forget about, but I probably will just take a running back here. Love Emmanuel Wilson, Ray Davis. I think I might just go Najee here. Be done at running back. So let's see. I don't think there is. I assume we draft someone this year in the third. Traeger Stowers available. Yeah. I mean, Wiley so far, I know he was injured much of his rookie year. And obviously Kelsey's been a big roadblock as well. So yeah, right now it's Kelsey or bust for me at Chiefs tight end. And then we'll start to hear, like, if Gray survives free agency, then like the early wave of free, like all these names signed, Otten, Goddard, Njoku, etc. They've all signed somewhere. Then maybe take some Noah Gray before the draft, because even if they draft somebody, Noah Gray still could end up being the top tight end on the team. But yeah, I don't think there is a reason to take it now, is I guess what I would say. Also didn't play as tight end 3 this year, if I remember correct. Yeah, it was weird. Who are they playing? They're playing what's his name? Former Packer. Can't remember his name right now. I will just end up being overweight on Cooper Kupp in the 19th, 20th round. Probably should mix in some more Keenan Allen. But as a 9th receiver, easily could be the number 2 on his team. And it's another good playoff offense. Don't think I'll go 10 receivers. We'll consider Mariota to, if they're both gone, we'll just go 2 quarterback. Don't think I can bring myself to take Deshaun Watson. Tonyan, thank you. Yeah, Robert Tonyan was playing some. Maybe Robert Tonyan's the answer. Definitely some receiver options, but I'm going to go Mariota. I still think there's paths where he ends up as a starter somewhere, even if it's like a stopgap situation. I don't see him going back to Atlanta, but that can make some sense with Penix. So maybe that's wrong, but some 20th round shots on Marcus Mariota, I think, are defensible. I'm surprised we are still seeing Slayton essentially undrafted. Wandale was a free agent. Malik Neighbors is coming out. I know Slayton dealt with 2 injuries last year, which is not great, but they weren't like serious long-term things, right? And Neighbors, I think it's questionable how he comes back. Slayton is clearly under contract. I don't think they cut him. I know it's a new offense and all that, but I think Slayton is a fine pick here. Malik Washington's another one with Tyreek being gone. Dolphins not having a ton of resources to upgrade the position. I could see him being fine. Then Christian Kirk, though, I don't think he's back in Houston. He's going to play somewhere and probably be a top 3 situation. Wiley only allowed in 4 games, got 9 routes. Tanya in 6 games got 28 routes. Yeah. There you go. More paths than Tua. I think in the sense of, I talked about this a little yesterday, and now it seems like Kyler might get traded. But if say Rodgers returns into the Steelers and then Cousins goes to the Vikings, as a lot of people were predicting, the quarterback market, there's still openings, but Tua's not staying in Miami. I don't know if he is going to the Jets. Like, Mariota could be the Jets quarterback. Like, I just not sure what the Jets are going to do. But Mariota could be, a lot of people predict Malik Willis to the Dolphins. If that doesn't happen, it could be a guy like Marcus Mariota, like cheap enough, but capable of starting, capable of running an offense. Can he hold the job for a whole year? I don't know. But I could just see that. Tua, like, and even if the Steelers job comes open, I think Mariota's more likely to go there than, say, Tua. Like, I don't think the Steelers would look at Tua. I don't think the Browns would look at Tua. I have a tough time knowing where Tua lands. Yeah, I don't think Wiley was injured either. Slayton is probably a solid pick, but I don't want to get hurt again. Yeah, I had way too much of him last year. Definitely don't want that much this year. And I do know, like, some people predict the Giants are going to take a first-round receiver. I don't know if I totally buy that. Just with their heavy investment in Neighbors, I could see them taking a second-round receiver, or second or third-round receiver for sure. But yeah. All right, let me go over these drafts. I went 3-5-9-3, Hurts, Purdy, and then Mariota, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Kyren Williams, DeAndre Swift, and then just waited, tacked on Najee at the end. Hope he gets a solid landing spot just for a little insurance. Receiver, no alphas here, but guys who are 1 or 2, should be 1 or 2 in their offense. Smith, Pearsall, I think those are pretty clear. Denzel Boston should be a first-round pick. Khalil Shakir, even if the Bills bring in somebody, he's the 2. Debo, wherever he ends up, probably is the 2. He could be the 1 or 2, depending on where he lands. Elijah Surratt, very, very bullish on him. Jeremy Bernard, pretty bullish on him as well. And I think they could be, probably number 2 receivers, and Cooper Kupp as well. So also targeted, good offenses. Theoretically, the Eagles would be a good offense, only way this draft works. San Francisco, Buffalo, for the guys that we know in Seattle. So tight end, Hunter Henry, feel great about that. Travis Kelce, still clicking him in that 160 range, and then likely with a little fall there. Next up, we had Green Bean from the 3 spot, 2-7-8-3, Dart and Darnold. JT kind of the anchor back, then tacking on some upside shots in Harvey, Tootin, Tyron Tracy, Jonathan Brooks. If he comes back, maybe he ends up being the starter. I talked about before, not sure what to do about Hubbard for the Brooks reason. Then a couple rookies late, Mike Washington and Adam Randall. Nico, T. Higgins, Lemon, love that start at receiver, tacked on with Michael Pittman and Addison Bryant. Torrey Horton, another guy who, if he's moving on, really should step up. And then he's the one who got Omar Cooper Jr. I want to start getting more and more Omar Cooper Jr. I love both Indiana receivers. AJ Barner, Gunnar Helm, and Elijah Arroyo. So, yeah. And of course, some of these guys stacked up with Darnold as well. We got Jalapeno next, 3773. Jaden, Baker, Cam Ward, 3 definite starters. Jacob, Scattaboo, Tony Pollard, 2 kind of clear starters. Pollard, very real chance to start. Rashard White, Zach Charbonnet with the fall, Nicholas Singleton, and Chris Rodriguez. I still taking some Rodriguez here. He's a restricted free agent. I presume he's back in Washington. Another reason why I'm just not high on JCM right now. Speaking of JSN, I think is a fantastic pick. Drake London, Jalen Waddle should clearly be the one in Miami right now. Mike Evans, I believe he's back. Love that you got a fall on him. DJ Moore, got a little fall on him as well. I think probably gets traded. Chris Godwin, Tampa piece, and then Iron Manor, either Cam Ward, and of course Baker potentially double stacked there with Evans and Godwin. Mark Andrews, Mason Taylor, and then taking a shot on the rookie, Eli Stowers. No, I like that. Mason Taylor, as bad as the Jets are, Mason Taylor, 211, second year. He was fine as a rookie. It was just the offense was so bad. I could absolutely think he could have a good second year, and presumably the offense is a little better. Schneid goes Josh Allen, and then he tacks on 2 late quarterbacks, Cousins and JJ McCarthy. Very well could have the entire Minnesota quarterback room with that. So I like that. I like that combo, actually. That's probably how I would want to take JJ McCarthy, is I'm taking him with another quarterback who I think could be sharing that room. One double anchor here, Cook, Chenti, tacked on Kamanangai, got Emmett Johnson. So I think there's not only does he double anchor, but there's 2 other backs who we feel very good about their potential role and usage. Braylon Allen could end up being the starter for the Jets. Katron Allen, I think probably a 3rd round pick in the NFL draft. Plenty of paths where he has pretty good usage. AJ Brown, Roma Dunze, Jordan Tyson, Jacoby Myers, Chimere Dike, like that. Trey Harris. Yeah, this is a nice receiver room. Taking Ted Hershot, I haven't really done that. I think I have taken him one time, but really impressive prospect out of Georgia Southern or State. I always forget, but had a good week at the Senior Bowl, so that was good to see. It's a nice balance here of guys you kind of locked in on their role. DK and Trey Harris could just see much more expanded roles. And then, these 2 rookies at the end tacked on. Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts at 107. I didn't notice that when I looked earlier. That is a nice fall for a guy who, and I don't think many people took him in the 40s, but his original ADP was 41? You got him at 107. I think he's a fine pick at 89. So 107 is, I think, fantastic. Kincaid 110, and then he didn't want Strange there, but it becomes a really strong tight end room. So I think that was the last one in here. Let me hit up chat, and I think I will do a little board. Slayton was a solid pick, but yeah, Steve Slayton, absolute baller. Oh, the old West Virginia Steve Slayton days. Going into this draft, the consensus seemed to be that it was weak for fantasy, but the more I look at it, the more I like the wide receiver depth. Yeah, I've kind of compared this. I said this, I think, yesterday. I think this is like the 2022 wide receiver year. Like that year you had London, Garrett Wilson, and JMO. Now, JMO was hurt. JMO would have been the first of those receivers taken, I believe, if he didn't get hurt. Go really early, and then you had like the next tier, of missing somebody, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, Traylon Burks. Dotson and Burks didn't work out, but then you had a strong second round. You had Christian Watson, not great as a rookie, but what he was. Again, not all these guys hit as rookies. Wandale, Tyquan Thornton, and some were just absolute busts. Sky Moore, but you had George Pickens, Alec Pierce. Fourth round, you had Romeo Doubs. So you had some depth and talent. I feel like there was a third rounder that I'm forgetting as well. And I kind of see this draft as very similar to that. I think the first two rounds are going to produce a lot of good fantasy prospects. You kind of have that early core like you did in that 22 draft. This year being in whatever order you like them, Tyson, Tate, and Lemon. And then you have some other first rounders who I think can be interesting. And then a pretty good group of second/early third round guys. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for them to find good landing spots, and that ends up mattering quite a bit. Wide receiver super deep might be 12, but yeah, that's exactly how I see it. Wide receiver 2, his scoring has been down, maybe a macro thing. I think this class can help fill those gaps. I do think there are some issues with A, quarterback play, B, rushing quarterbacks are taking away opportunities. More teams seem willing to over target guys. 2 years ago, it was Malik Neighbors, just absolutely dominate targets. Last year, of course, JSN. Puka and Adams were, very few teams were able to handle two receivers. Essentially, Rams, Bengals, Cowboys were the ones who really were able to do it throughout the season. And Bengals, it was even weird during those Jake Browning days. But yeah, and the other thing is, I think there's a lot of teams who view their number 2 receiver as a more fluid situation, kind of similar to the Broncos. I worry about that a little for the Jags this year, and we don't even know who the number 1 is. But Bills, are like that. Patriots are like that. Diggs is the one, but he's not the one like other teams is the one. Same with Shakir was the one, but not a one like other teams. And so they're more like 1-2 mixes versus true ones, and then there's no clear 2. So yeah, more and more teams are that way. And I do think some of it is some teams just didn't have the wide receiver talent, Steelers. After DK Metcalf last year, it was a massive gulf to Calvin Austin and company. A few other teams were like that as well. But yeah, I think passing is down a bit due to quarterback play and rushing quarterback, just stealing opportunities. But this draft could change it. The other interesting thing, and I will get into this in another episode, I do want to do one more draft, is typically we see sophomore wide receivers. That's what you truly want, is sophomore wide receivers. Last year, we were so excited about the second year of the wide receiver class from 2 years ago, the Neighbors, Dunze, Marv, BTJ, Ladd, etc. Every one of those receivers were a disappointment. Every single one. And that's kind of wild. Because some, sure, were injuries, Neighbors with the big one, but Marv got injured, BTJ got a little injury, Ladd didn't really get injured, Worthy got injured, just kind of down the board. And that's why we were hopeful in somebody like Keon Coleman stepping up with that sophomore breakout. But just every receiver got nuked, whether it was themselves, whether it was injury, whether guys got brought in. Kind of wild. And I'll be interested to see what the bounce back rate is on those guys, because they're all going at lower prices than a year ago. We were taking Neighbors 7th. We were taking, Ladd 20th. We were taking Marvin Harrison, 28th, 30th. Dunze slightly lower than what he was. He's the one guy whose price hasn't really changed from last year. He was actually the one playing the best until he got injured. But just kind of interesting. Worthy's seen a massive drop. BTJ seen a massive drop. So it feels like you could unearth some value from those guys, but it's like, who will be? It won't be all of them. Who will it be? Because we're definitely getting them at much lower prices than we did a year ago. All right, I'm going to jump in a little board draft. I want to do one more draft, and then I'll get on out of here. So anyone who wants to join a little board, I'm going to jump in 10 seconds. Aaron in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. But yeah, I think in general, wide receiver, it is tough. And you know, you have so many situations where, like this year, Seattle being a perfect example, great team, great, good offense. Wide receiver 2 didn't matter. It was a little rotational. Cup had a couple weeks. Shaheed mainly more to spike plays. And then Horton had a couple weeks, but just really no wide receiver 2 emerged. I think it's more likely that somebody more consistently emerges, whether it's Cup or Horton next year. But you just had so many teams in that area, and some were due to injury. 49ers, both Jennings and Pearsall missed so much time. There's no way a true wide receiver depth chart could truly fully emerge. And Pearsall was another one who disappointed from last year. His ADP is slightly down from last year. All right, waiting on one more. But I do think between those guys falling and this rookie class, it is interesting. And I would say, I also can kind of consider, just going back to this, I think the running back position is kind of similar to 2022. There was no Jeremiah Love in 2022, but you had multiple good second round picks. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, and James Cook. And I think you're going to have that this year, between Price, Emmett Johnson, Coleman. I think all those are second rounders. I think all could pay off. And maybe not to those levels, but to fantasy relevance. And then there was kind of a drop off. You had some fourth round, like Brian Robinson Jr. was a third rounder, late third round. Rashard White, Zamir White, a few other guys in the fourth round. Not much to write home about though. So waiting on one. Let me refresh to make sure I didn't miss it. Still waiting on one for the little board. All right, looks like we're filled. So I got the 10th pick, and I don't see anyone from chat in here. Let me know if anyone is. So yeah, I can star method all I want if I wish. So while we're waiting, I just want to thank everyone again for joining in chat and in the drafts. Again, don't check out the description. We have the free Discord. We have our Substack, which again has a free trial, and of course YouTube membership. So we appreciate everyone's support, and I just want to thank everyone for being here and helping us out. Sitting at the 10th spot, and my go-to target is Amon-Ra and Cook. I'll consider Lamb, and then of course any fall. So So yeah, I don't think I know there was a lot of like positional coaching hires today. Nothing that's too crazy. You get to see Brian Callahan land as the Giants quarterback coach, pass game coordinator. Hopefully things go better than his Tennessee days. He was with the Bengals for a while and was highly thought of. But just interesting seeing that Nagy and Brian Callahan. So, Gibbs actually falls here, but kind of the top 7 guys are what you expect. Lamb goes. I'll get one of them on Rock Cook, which works quite well for me. I think I would just go Amon-Ra. As much as I love James Cook, the consistency of Amon-Ra, he's finished wide receiver 3 the last 3 years. That is insane. And hard to see why it won't happen for a 4th year. So Genty goes. I will take Hampton or Saquon if they're available. I love Hampton since I've taken Saquon some. There we go. So Hampton, Amon-Ra start. Feel good about that. And we'll see what gets back to us. Go to the board. So nothing too crazy. Kind of just going down the line here at ADP with guys like Love and Bowers. I do like, Bowers' upside in this offense with Kubiak. I still don't love the 20th ADP on him. I wish he was more 3rd round or honestly even 4th round. So I will take him sometimes. I just don't think I'll get to a high percentage of Bowers and definitely won't get to a high percentage of McBride. But absolutely won't be at, approaching 0. Maybe like 4% on both guys. Probably the one guy in the first 3 rounds I'm going to be just way low on is Rashee Rice. I think that price is just too high with just the uncertainty. If there's a legal issue, NFL is going to come down hard. Maybe that goes away. We'll find out. And even if not, if Kelsey's coming back, I think that hurts him. I think they are going to find, Worthy is presumably healthier, and just other things worry me. After I make these picks, I will get back to chat. So, I think Higgins, gotta go with Higgins here. So Hampton, Amon-Ra, T. Higgins. Don't want to necessarily, I've done Hampton, McConkey before. I'll try to avoid that this time. So if one of Kyron or Adams is there, getting a Rams piece feels nice. Take either one. So Kyron goes. Okay, good. I get Devontae Adams. Let me get back in chat. Sus asking, anyone else almost entirely avoiding rookie wide receivers that aren't the top 5 guys, especially in the cheap wide receiver meta? Day 2 guys or Gadgety don't feel like high upside rookie archetypes. So I do think Branch is Gadgety. Had a long conversation with Huheems about him last week, and probably will move him down. I know he's going to go high in the NFL draft. I think I've taken him one time so far. I agree. He's 100% Gadgety. My take on it is, presuming you're saying Boston's 4, Concepcion's 5. I'm a big Surratt fan, especially at 170. That's my thing, is the price is right on these guys. Like Surratt 170, Omar Cooper Jr. in the 185 to 200 range, Jeremy Bernard kind of in the same range. I think those guys I want. Chris Bell with the injury, I'll take super late. Chris Brizell from Tennessee, I don't mind taking late, just because I think they have touchdown upside as well. Like Surratt, that's why I like Surratt, is just his receiver acumen and touchdown upside. I think make him very playable, particularly pick 170, just because the other receivers you're taking there, it's like other young questionable guys in the 170 to 200 range. Whether it's Chamari Dike or Io Manor, Trey Tucker, and Trey Harris and Jack Besh and all these types of guys. And yeah, I don't think you should just go down the board like 5 rookie receivers late. But having 2 or 3 of these guys to round out, particularly if you started strong, I don't think is necessarily bad process. I think last year the issue is the ADPs got a little too high. And sure, some of the late ones, like you could get Jack Besh in 170s, 180s. It didn't pay off, but that was also not necessarily on him. It was just the offense was so bad. So I think mixing them in, I just wouldn't have 0, just because the other receivers they're competing against are just as questionable in my book. Maybe slightly better, but have slightly more of a ceiling. Like a guy like, I know Mike Robb is high on him in FK, but Io Manor, right now, he's the 1 or the 2 for the Tennessee, but easily could end up the 3 or the 4. And I think he's limited. I think there's a lot of receivers who could get drafted in day 2 of this year's NFL draft who are better, just simply better prospects. We'll take Swifty here and get a second running back. Hopefully one of these 3 receivers come back to me. If not, I'm taking one of these other running backs. Let me sort by ADP, just to make it a little bit more clear. So that's where I'm at with it. Kind of leaning Bowers over McBride again. I think it's more, if I had to bet on one of those being tight end 1 or being the higher tight end, I should say, I would say Bowers over McBride. Watson or Sutton? I'll go Watson. Meg checking in, and just back to the Bowers McBride. As I've said before, McBride, his volume, I feel like, was inflated given the lack of running backs, Brissett versus Murray, them just constantly being down. Some of those things can still happen, but running back play should be better. And of course, Marv getting injured, and also Drew Petzing. The Drew Petzing tight end, system. It was always known to be favorable. Just a lot of things changed. And then the other thing was every other elite tight end either got injured or his quarterback got injured, and significant drop off at quarterback. Travis Kelce having a Kundin and Shane, throwing balls the last couple games didn't really help his upside. So it just created a massive gap between McBride and everyone else. Mendoza Kubiak had me on Bowers, but that's why it's the opportunity cost. Like, I think Bowers probably has the best path to be tight end 1. McBride still has a path, don't get me wrong, but I think Bowers has a better path. But you're taking them above still top-end receivers like a T. Higgins, a George Pickens, Chris Olave. I don't know. Those receivers and, of course, running backs, right now, Derrick Henry goes behind them. Derrick Henry, in just raw points, is going to outscore tight end one. Almost guaranteed. Outside of that Kelsey year from a couple years ago. Even if Henry is RB 8 or 10, he should outscore tight end one. And then you have other running backs right behind that, like Chase Brown, Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, etc. Move Love up because of the way things are drafted. Started okay with big three rookie wide receiver. Now I'm not into it. Fields. Malachi Fields, yeah. For a moment, thought we were talking quarterback. Justin Fields. I got scared there. Who Williams? Malachi Fields is a 20th round click. Not awful. I don't have a lot of Jackson Dart. Let me take a Jackson Dart shot. Don't have to stack. Gives me a rushing upside if I pair it with a Goff or Stafford or even Jordan Love. I don't have a lot in that department. I like Monangai Price, but when I take Swift, I'm not taking both. I shouldn't say I like, but I'm okay with Monangai at that price, but just not when I have Swift. That's a fair thing. If you're doing volume, just riding that potential that Bowers gets moved up and you can no longer get that combo. I can see that. I don't love what's left to me. I'll take Tony Pollard. I need running back help. He was a 1,000-yard back. Still could be. But there are some paths where that does not work out well. I've drafted way less rookie sophomores in previous years, but a lot of them were dropping, so start mixing them in. Yeah, for me, it's just Mendoza for rookie quarterbacks. I'm not taking Ty Simpson, not going to take Garrett Nussmeier, or Chambliss. Just to me, no reason to. If they end up with good landing spots or we get great coach speak that Ty Simpson could push for a starting role, which I don't believe. Maybe that changes post-draft, but I don't see their ADPs climbing to some ridiculous rate. Tight end wise, I kind of want to be near the field at Sadiq, at least 6%, 6 to 8%. Any other tight end, I want to be 4% or under, and most considerably under. So I just mix them in as 20th round clicks. And then for me, a running back, there's 6 backs that I want to be at the field or above on. Love, regardless of order, Love, Price, Emma Johnson, Coleman, Allen, and Nicholas Singleton. Anyone else, if I'm 4%, that's probably as high as I want to be on Mike Washington or Claiborne or, whoever your flavor of the day is. And most of those are going to be 1-2% guys. So yeah, collectively, I think I'm going to be way down. Receivers in the one position where I won't be as bullish as I was 2 years ago. And even last year, I definitely got too bullish on some of those second, third round guys. They still ended up with the second, third round upside. Just so many bad landing spots or bad situations. That's not always the case. We generally see some second and third round rookie receivers produce. So yeah, I do think to keep in mind, this is much more a shotgun approach pre-draft, just because landing spot ends up determining a lot. one of my issues 100% last year was still being in on some of these guys, even after landing spot. And then things changed, unfortunately for Trey Harris, QJ wasn't a bust. And the bigger thing, Keenan Allen came in, nuked him. Somehow Xavier Hutchinson became a thing and nuked both the Texans second and third rounders. That was unfortunate, but I just don't think those are always going to be the case. I feel like I need running back help, so let's go Algier here. He's moved up in this range. Plenty of paths where he's a starter. So Boston is fine. That gets back to me, and very probably going Goff though. So one of these two, ideally for me. Okay, I get Goff. Yeah, and I think Huheim's point is where I'm at. And I look at it, the top three receivers are kind of all taken in the same range. They've actually fallen a little in ADP. Again, doesn't matter the order. Tyson, Tate, Lemon all generally go within a round of each other. Then you have a pretty big drop to Boston, who's now at ADP 103. He's fallen. Real life in the NFL draft, you might go 10, 12 picks after the last of those first receivers. And then Casey Concepcion, who could go right in the same range as Boston, is another 30 spots after Boston. So, yes, do I think Concepcion is as good as any of those top three receivers? No. And are they going to have better capital? Of course. But he might go 15 spots later than Mekhi Lemon or Tyson or Tate or whoever the third of those guys is. But he goes 70 spots later in an underdog draft. That feels mispriced. And then the big gap between the rest of the receivers, with Surratt falling as he has, and even if you feel like Cooper or Bernard or Brazil or somebody else, like there's just such a gap there for projected second round receivers. Branch is the one who I think now, just looking at it more, I'm going to be out on, just because he absolutely is the manufactured touch guy. And yeah, I'm just totally worried about. And this is the other thing, just going to what I said earlier. Yeah, the K-Tron app gap is large as well. Like Singleton, at least we get, he broke his foot, whatever. But Allen now falling to the 160s is crazy to me. But the other thing is, Love goes 19. And yes, he's like the only first rounder. At least two, if not all three, of Price, Emma Johnson, and Coleman should be second round picks. And yet they go from, Price is what, like 95, and Emma Johnson is like 130, and Coleman right in the middle there. So those feel off. And as a second round pick, they all have the potential to be 100% better than the other backs taken in the, the 90 to 130 range. We just talked, I talked previously earlier about JCM. Now, Washington doesn't have a second round pick, but if Washington were to get any of those three backs, maybe they trade back in the first round, pick up an extra second round or something like that. If they get any of those three backs, they should 1000% be starting above JCM. Like, it shouldn't even be close. And I was hoping to push Emma Johnson. That did not work. But I did feel like I needed Concepcion more. But there's just so many landing spots where those guys are just way better. Kenneth Gainwell is going in the same range. He's not even signed. Sure, if he's back with the Steelers, that's probably fine. But if he goes somewhere else, he might have nowhere near the fantasy value. So many of these other, Tyron Tracy, another one, Woody Marks, he's prime for whether Joe Mixon coming back or back coming in, completely nuking his value. So, yeah, it just feels like that tier of rookie running backs have the potential to vastly outperform the other running backs in that range, like be like full-time backs. Well, all three, probably not, but all three at least have the potential. Let's take Brenton Strange here, get a tight end on the board. Not really loving what else was left for me. Yeah, Branch feels very thin. My next rankings, I'm going to move him down considerably. QB race is out of control. I'm glad I got my Nico Stroud stacks was at 155. Yeah, I do think this is the one thing, and I've said this before. I think once we start getting these landing spots, Kyler gets traded, Malik Willis signs, Cousins sign, Aaron Rodgers is back, whatever the case may be. I think particularly for guys like Stroud, that's going to help. Like, they're not going to get pushed up so much. They're getting pushed up so much because just we have certainty, and people, and one, just in general, you want certainty at the quarterback position. Two, for stacks, where now it's like, all right, I'll take Stroud, at 128 because I have Nico, or I know I can backstack him with Schultz or something like that. Same with, like Mendoza, like, oh, I took Bowers, like, let me pull Mendoza up. I took Olave, let me pull Tyler Shuck up. I think once all those guys sign, that tier of quarterbacks will slide down some. Not necessarily that they all, like Kyler Murray is suddenly above all those guys. He might be above a couple of them. But when let's say Kyler goes to the Jets, then the Garrett Wilson team is going to start drafting Kyler Murray. Malik Willis goes to the Dolphins, then the Jalen Waddle or chain teams are going to be drafting Malik Willis and pulling them up. So I think that will settle the quarterback ADPs quite a bit. This range is not my favorite. We'll take a Jordan Mason shot. Running back, I just felt, with Pollard being such a wild card, usually I like having a better third back here. While I like Algier, wanted a little better fifth back. Just had a draft where all quarterbacks are down to Bryce Young. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the scramble is twofold. One, people wanting certainty at quarterbacks, and two, wanting certain stacks where, it's just naturally pulling all these guys up where, the Garrett Wilson drafter, the, DK Metcalf drafter, they don't know what to do right now. So Danny Jones goes. I will take Jerry Jeudy. Don't love it, but it has a path to be his team's number one quarterback. And, this could be a team I tack on Shador as my third quarterback. I think given the strength of free agent running backs and looking at 2024, second for Coleman, maybe Emmett Johnson, not certain. I mean, that's fair. It's just there's a lot of teams that need running back help. And the other thing is, with so many offensive coordinator changes and coaching changes, some of these situations just aren't as certain. Now, Washington promoted from within, so maybe that keeps JCM more relevant. But you just have a lot of, I think, some of these will just tell themselves, like if Travante's back for Dallas, they still might add a second back above Malik Davis, but you have Dallas and Washington as running back opening spots. Minnesota's potential running back opening spot. Carolina definitely has a spot. The Saints has a spot. Arizona potentially. We're drafting James Conner in the 140. Saints and Arizona in the same situation here. But those could quickly be teams, where they're adding a significant running back. And by significant, it could be a drafted pick or it could be one of those free agents. So I think as the dominoes fall, and then the AFC, I think obviously we have the Jets. I don't see, Dolphins, Bills, or Patriots, but Steelers could be much more wide open. This is what I mean about new coaching staff taking over. Like old staff love Jalen Warren. New staff might not feel the same. They might not see him as a feature franchise back, or not even franchise, but a feature back the same way. We'll take another Dalton Schultz share. I think he, to me, is just mispriced. And then, just a couple other, Chiefs obviously being a big one. Titans, if they move on from Pollard, which would suck for this team, but they might say, we'll take a second, we're going to cut Tony Pollard and we're going to take a second round back. So I agree. Like sometimes, they get left, but I just see this as a much stronger than 2 years ago where, Jonathan Brooks was no first rounders. Jonathan Brooks was a second rounder and then just a bunch of third rounders. These guys, Emma Johnson, Price, and Coleman are just way better than those backs, in my opinion. You're going to take DK here. So I agree it's not locked in stone, but I just feel generally we see 2 to 3 second round pick backs, 2 to 4, I'd say. Some exceptions like 2 years ago. And I think we'll see at least 2. Yeah, Branch. The tough thing is I still think some NFL team will invest a second rounder in him. That's my worry. But I think he's the most fool's gold of the rookie receivers because he's the most need of manufactured touch. And it's not the same way that people talked about with Luther Burden last year. Like he is just way more dependent on the manufactured touch than honestly anyone I can remember in the last couple of years. Hype reminds me of how I felt about Royals. Yeah, Royals needed some manufactured touch. Also, Steve, is it easier to reach? Either way, I know I haven't been on Twitter as much, but either way, I know you'd reached out and we need to connect on some stuff. But after this show, I'll be free and checking stuff. Judy is a guy I keep telling myself to draft solely, him being the team's wide receiver 1, but I never get him. Must fall in other drafts. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Like I talked about him, what was it, yesterday? Monday. Yeah, I think it was Monday. It's like I just don't have a lot of them. But at 159, you can do a hell of a lot worse. And I do worry about him, honestly, being the team's number 1 receiver. I think with 2 first rounders, they could draft someone. Yeah, exactly my point. Or spend some money to get a free agent. Because it's like not even spending money, but even if they, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of they signed Romeo Doubs. I would rather have Romeo Doubs over Jerry Jeudy. Let's go Cade Otton here. Get third tight end. Feel pretty good about. Yeah, it doesn't feel great for Jerry Jeudy. I mean, just in general, I said this yesterday. Judkins, I'm okay being over the field on, but even Fannin at his current price, I don't want to be over the field on. We'll take Kirk Cousins. Browns got Tyson Concepcion in the draft. Man, Twitter's going to lose it. Oh my God. I mean, Browns took, with Njoku, they took a tight end. They took 2 running backs. They took 2 quarterbacks last year. So they could do something crazy like that. And that just going back to the point of new coordinators, new systems, like a lot of jobs who could be, more questionable. Todd Monken could say, hey, you gave me a head coaching job, you gave him a big contract. Like I want to get the ingredients for my, my recipe. And I'm not going to get the quarterback this year because the way this class looks. So let me get, at least one receiver. And it doesn't even have to be that. It doesn't even have to be 2 first rounders, but take a first rounder and a third rounder. How good are we feeling about Jerry Jeudy? Yeah, that's how I feel. One way or another, it's getting upgraded. So, want to tack on a running back here. If Najee is there, I will go that route. Might go with a second-year guy like Gordon or Neal. Neither one locked into the, number 2 role, but at least there's upside there. Najee goes. A lot of rookies. Again, I want to be lower on these rookies, so I'm not going to go too extreme. But I think I'll take a shot on one of these 2 guys. For me, I'm going to lean Devin Neal. Just this is one of the offenses that didn't change. So they drafted him. Big unknowns with Kamara and Kendra Miller and Estime. And even if they draft Love, like Devin Neal could be the number 2 if they move on from Kamara. I think they're incredibly allowed to take 2 in the first 3 picks, 2 firsts, an early second. Yeah. And do they have 2? I want to say they have 2 third rounders. I'd have to double check. Could be wrong on that. Wide receiver and Bernard's there. I'll take Slayton here. Easy late stack. With Dart, there's a chance they would replace Slayton. I lean to no, given the uncertainty with Neighbors and Wandale being a free agent. So 20th round click feels good there. Let me see. Cleveland Browns draft picks. So no, just 3rd, 4th. They have 3 5ths, a 6th, and a 7th. I knew they had a lot of extra picks. So they definitely could be moving around the draft. And they pick 6 and 24. So we will go over my team, hit up chat, and get out of here. All right, my team, they end 3-6-8-3, Dart, Goff, and then Kirk Cousins. So potentially 3 starters. And like the Dart Goff combo, Goff 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. He pretty much bookmarked that. And Dart obviously with some rushing upside and a lot of promise. Hampton, Swift. So a little thinner at running back than I typically like, with Swift as my 2. Usually he's my 3, or if he's my 2, I'm usually following it up with like a Junkins or Stevenson. Pollard, Tyler Algier, Jordan Mason, Devin Neal. So, Algier, this is another guy kind of similar to the rookie running backs. Absolutely could be a starter, could not. So I feel it's like the same kind of dynamic. I know Algier obviously has a 1,000-yard season in his NFL repertoire, but kind of the same thing with those rookies, potential second round rookies like I was talking about. Amon-Ra, T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, Christian Watson, very strong start to the receiver room. Then, tacked on Concepcion, had a long talk about Judy. Honestly, this is my issue with Judy is I think DK could outproduce him this year, just simply put. He could be the number 1 receiver in Tennessee, especially like him in the Brian Dable offense. And, we're getting him even considerably later. And again, of these 2 offenses, I feel better about the Tennessee offense. 1, the quarterback situation, and 2, I think the offensive lines should be better. Dable versus Monken, probably more of a toss-up, but just feel good about that. And then Slayton tacked on there. Tight end, Strange, Dalton Schultz, Cade Otton being a free agent. Strange and Schultz, I think we know kind of what their role is. Cade Otton, whether it's back with Tampa or somewhere else, I think is a pretty solid option. So all around, feel good about this team. No room feels too weak. Definitely the receiver room, I think, is my strength. We'll probably need, for this team to be successful, we'll probably need my flex to come out of this room a little bit more often than I generally like. But we'll see. And I think I was the only one in this draft, so no other team to go over. So yeah, I will get on out of here. But I appreciate everyone again for joining and chatting and everything else. If you get the chance, hopefully you've already liked this episode. And if you get the chance, leave a comment after. That definitely helps us in the algorithm, YouTube game as well. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and I will catch you next time.